Keanu Reeves was mocked by car dealership workers. They had no idea he's the owner. Keanu Reeves stepped into Apex Motors, his own dealership, on a quiet afternoon. He wasn't there for a test drive or to show off one of his latest cars. He was there to observe, to see how his workers treated customers when he wasn't around. He'd noticed a few things lately that didn't sit right with him, and today he was going to get answers. Inside the showroom, Liam and Eric, two of his employees, were busy chatting behind the counter. Their laughter filled the air, but it was full of mockery. "Did you see that guy who just left? He couldn't even start the car. What a clown," Liam scoffed, clearly enjoying the moment. Eric leaned in, adding, "Yeah, and he asked for a custom-built car. What's he going to do with that? Look cool in front of his friends?" Keanu stayed in the background, unnoticed by them as he quietly scanned the cars on display. His face remained neutral, but his mind was racing. He knew how important it was to make customers feel welcome, especially when they walked into his store. Today, he was prepared to see how these two handled their jobs. After a moment, Eric noticed Keanu standing near the cars. He shot a glance at Liam and called out, "Hey, you looking for something or just wasting time?" Keanu remained calm, taking his time to examine a custom car. He didn't respond right away, letting Eric's words hang in the air. Liam, now looking at Keanu, grinned. "We've got some beginner models in the back if you're not sure what you want," he said, sizing Keanu up like a stereotype, underestimating him without even realizing it. Keanu finally turned to face them, his eyes steady and focused. "I'm just looking, but I'll know exactly what I want," he said, his voice smooth yet firm. The workers exchanged glances, a flicker of doubt in their expressions, but neither of them backed down. They didn't recognize the man standing before them, so they carried on with their dismissive behavior. Keanu continued to browse the showroom, taking note of the cars with quiet intensity. But his focus wasn't just on the machines, it was on the workers. Liam and Eric, oblivious to who he was, kept up their casual mocking of past customers, unaware that their behavior was being watched by someone who could change their lives in an instant. Liam leaned over the counter, still chuckling. "Man, you should have seen the guy earlier. He was like a deer in headlights when we asked him about the specs of that car. Not a clue what he was talking about." He paused and shot a glance toward Keanu. "Bet this guy's the same. Doesn't even know how to look at a car properly." Eric nodded in agreement. But as Keanu walked closer to the counter, the atmosphere shifted. Eric faltered for the first time. He hadn't expected the man to be so still, so composed. Something about Keanu's presence felt different from the usual customers who came in and left with only a few words. Eric's uncertainty grew, but Liam was quick to laugh it off, trying to regain control. "What do you think, old man? Ready to buy one of these bad boys or just taking up space?" Keanu's gaze shifted to the car behind the counter. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he walked toward it, his steps slow and deliberate. The workers watched him, still unsure of what to make of him. He looked like someone who knew exactly what he wanted, but their mocking behavior hadn't stopped. Keanu stopped beside the car, feeling the tension in the room rise. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but carrying weight. "You're quick to judge people based on how they look or what they know, but you might be missing something important." His eyes locked on Liam and Eric, who froze under his gaze. They had no idea that the man standing before them was the very owner of Apex Motors, the one who had built this place with passion and care. The air hung thick with a sense of unease. Keanu hadn't raised his voice, hadn't made any dramatic gestures, but his presence was enough to make both men question their actions. The seconds seemed to stretch on as Keanu's words echoed in the room. Liam and Eric exchanged a brief, uncomfortable glance. The mocking tone had vanished, replaced by creeping uncertainty. Liam was the first to break the silence. He shifted on the stool, his smirk faltering. "What do you mean?" His voice was less confident now, almost defensive, as if sensing the shift in power. Keanu didn't answer immediately. He continued examining the car, his fingers tracing its intricate details, waiting for the right moment. He could feel their eyes on him, but he wasn't rushing. There was no need. He was in control, even if they didn't realize it yet. Keanu Reeves continued to examine the car, his mind sharp and observant. After what felt like an eternity, he finally spoke, his calm voice cutting through the heavy silence. "It's not about what people know or how much they have. It's about respect. When you mock others, you lose sight of what truly matters. The words hit harder than Liam and Eric expected. Both men looked at each other, uncertainty creeping in. They had no idea why this man was so focused on respect, but for the first time they began to question their actions. Liam scratched his head, his mind racing. There was something about Keanu that felt different. Maybe it was his calmness, or maybe it was the way he spoke. But Liam couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Eric, on the other hand, tried to laugh it off, desperate to regain control. "Come on, man, relax. We were just having a little fun. Don't take it so seriously." But Keanu wasn't smiling. He turned his gaze from the car to Eric, his eyes steady and unwavering. "I don't take it lightly. You should consider how you treat people. It's not just about business, it's about dignity." The words struck deep. Eric's bravado faltered and he hesitated. He had never thought of it that way before. What did dignity have to do with his job? He felt a pang of guilt, something unfamiliar. And Liam, who had always prided himself on being the loudest in the room, suddenly found himself silent, unsure of how to respond. The dynamic in the room had shifted. The workers were no longer the ones in control. Keanu had planted a seed of doubt in their minds. His calm presence had done what the workers never expected. It made them uncomfortable in a way they couldn't ignore. The atmosphere in the showroom shifted from casual mockery to something heavier. Liam and Eric stood frozen, trying to hold on to their pride but feeling the weight of Keanu's words sinking in. Eric, still trying to deflect, cleared his throat and forced a grin. "Look, man, no need to lecture us. We were just having some fun. We're good at what we do, all right?" But Keanu didn't flinch. His eyes remained steady, calm, unwavering. Fun at someone else's expense isn't fun. You may be good at your job, but there's more to it than just selling cars. The words stung. Neither Liam nor Eric could find a sharp retort. Keanu wasn't just criticizing their actions, he was questioning their values. It was something neither of them was used to. The tension was unbearable. The room was silent for a moment, with only the soft hum of the lights and the air conditioning breaking the stillness. It was then that Liam felt something stir within him. A thought crept into his mind. What if this guy is right? He shifted uncomfortably, his cocky grin fading. Okay, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe we crossed the line a bit. His voice was quieter now, more reflective. Eric stood still, staring at Keanu. He prided himself on being tough, but Keanu's calm, unshaken composure was getting under his skin. For the first time, he felt a flicker of doubt. Had they gone too far? Keanu let the silence linger, giving them space to process his words. He wasn't in a rush. He could see the change beginning in their eyes. Finally, Liam hesitated before speaking again. This time, his voice was softer, almost apologetic. "Look, man, I get it. I really do. We shouldn't have treated people that way." He paused, glancing at Eric for support. But Eric was silent, his gaze fixed on Keanu, a realization dawning on him. "But why do you care so much?" Keanu's lips curled into a slight, knowing smile. "Because I built this place. And I built it with respect for the people who come through that door, whether they're experts or beginners." Liam's brow furrowed. "Wait, built this place?" Eric's eyes widened. In an instant, the truth hit them both like a ton of bricks. Keanu wasn't just a customer, he was the owner, the very person who had created Apex Motors. The room seemed to shrink as the truth finally settled in. Liam and Eric stood in front of Keanu, their expressions a mix of shock and guilt. They had mocked him, insulted him, and only now did they realize the truth. The man they had belittled wasn't just another customer. He was the owner of Apex Motors. Liam swallowed hard, his usual bravado gone. He stepped back, his hands fidgeting nervously. I didn't know. I didn't realize it was you," he stammered, his tone now apologetic. Eric, still clinging to his tough guy act, shifted uncomfortably, his gaze dropping to the floor. "Yeah, man, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to disrespect you. It's just, we were messing around, you know?" Keanu remained calm, watching them carefully. He could see genuine remorse beginning to surface, but he wasn't going to let them off too easily. He believed in lessons that stayed with people, not just quick apologies. "You know," Keanu said, his voice calm but weighted with authority. "It's not about realizing who I am. It's about how you treat people, the respect you show, no matter who they are." Liam and Eric nodded, but the words stung. They hadn't fully understood before. Now the lesson was clear. It wasn't just about Keanu. It was about the people they interacted with every day. The customers, the strangers, everyone. They had treated people with arrogance and disdain, and that wasn't how you ran a business or lived with integrity. Eric cleared his throat. Sincerity cracked through his usual tough demeanor. "You're right, we were jerks. We didn't think about it like that," he admitted, pausing to take a deep breath. "I'm really sorry, man." Liam stepped forward, a genuine expression on his face. "Yeah, same here. I should have been better. I'm sorry for disrespecting you." Keanu nodded slowly, accepting their apologies. But he wasn't one for easy dismissals. Instead, he offered a final lesson, one that would stick with them long after that moment. "You can apologize all you want," Keanu said, "but real change happens when you start respecting people every day and every interaction. That's how you grow, not just as workers, but as people." The words hit home. Liam and Eric stood in silence, heads lowered, absorbing the weight of his wisdom. For the first time, they understood. Respect wasn't something you demanded. It was something you earned, not just from customers, from everyone. Keanu turned to leave, his task complete. But as he reached the door, he glanced over his shoulder one last time. "Remember," he said, his voice soft but firm, "it's not about how much you sell. It's about how you treat the people who walk through that door." And with that, he walked out of Apex Motors, leaving Liam and Eric alone to reflect. That afternoon, the first customer of the day arrived. A man in his mid-30s, dressed casually, stepped inside, glancing around the showroom with a hint of uncertainty. Liam and Eric exchanged a look. This time, there was no mockery, no arrogance. Instead, they greeted him warmly, offering help without judgment. They took the time to explain the features of each car, answered every question with care, and made sure the man felt valued, something they had neglected before. When the customer left, shaking their hands and smiling as he drove away in his new car, Liam and Eric shared another glance. There was no awkwardness, only quiet understanding. Keanu's words had stayed with them. They had changed, not just how they worked, but how they saw people. It wasn't about showing off knowledge or feeling superior. It was about building trust. And as Keanu's visit echoed in their minds, they both realized something important. They had been given a second chance, not just to be better employees, but better people.